Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Let's Play of Crusader Kings 3 with a total conversion mod After the End. After the End has a very interesting, if a simple premise. Sometimes during the 21st or 22nd century, an unknown disaster took place and brought with it a complete societal collapse. An age of darkness, if you will. It was actually so bad that people even forgot what actually happened, what caused the end. There are theories, but every post-fall religion and culture basically have their own version of events. I mean, the world is actually quite extensive and it will be fun for us to discover it during this playthrough, as I'm by no means an expert, and they've been building up all of this all the way from CK2. Anyway, the year now is 2666 and we are in what is basically a second feudal age. As you will see, the map is quite large and extends over both North and South America, so even the geolocation is quite different from the normal CK3 setup. So now let's jump in and talk about who we are going to play. We're going to play in the Sea of Cannibals, formerly known as the Caribbean, as Captain Jacques. I actually want to apologize for something before we jump into seeing who Captain Jacques is. About a month ago, I posted a video showcasing the mod and asking for feedback about what you guys would like to see. I presented a number of areas and characters, but during recording the video, I discovered Jacques himself, and he immediately caught my interest. I admit I even tried to start as him a couple of times, and turns out it is a very hard and unique character whose story can go in a great number of ways depending on the starting setup, most of which can be summarized and crash and burn, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, I decided to change my original plan. We will do a playthrough with Jacques and his offsprings, and then, if we have fun and want to play more, I will start a poll where you will choose the next area and character, which was the original plan even for this one. That way, we will all have a bit more of an understanding about what is going on in the world and can make a little bit more of an educated decision about what could be fun, as that seemed to be a recurring theme in what you commented. Basically, all the choices were based on superficial looks and guesses. I mean, same as with me, I myself have never played this mod before, so, we have to have some kind of ground on which to base the decisions. Anyway, let's look at Jacques. The thing that actually caught my eye in the beginning is the fact that he doesn't even have a listed difficulty. I'm not entirely sure if that's an oversight or if that was intentional, but it speaks volume. Jacques himself is a minor count. He has one province over here. It cannot even be properly seen on the map. And he is subject to King Esau II. The issue with Jacques is that he is, to my knowledge, maybe even the only, truly the only feudal lord or, prince, whatever you want to call them, that has the Brethren of the Coast faith. Basically, he is a pirate, and his court is pirates, or most of them, and his province as well, or the one that he governs, is also of this faith. The issue is, nobody else is, and even his lord is of the Haitian beliefs. So immediately, you can understand that everybody hates us, even our own lord, and he will do whatever he can to jail us, murder us. He will convert our province, so a lot of our subjects are going to turn against us. It's hell. It's actually really hell. The easiest way, and you can remove most of the difficulties, is basically when he asks you to convert, and he will ask us to convert during this playthrough, is to actually, appease him by converting, which removes almost all, if not all, of the penalties that you have in the beginning of the game. The issue with that is that I don't want to do that, because Captain Jacques has one big thing in his arsenal that nobody else in the surrounding area has, and that is he can raid. He can raid anyone, everywhere in the Caribbean, and that can give him obscene amount of money in the beginning if he can survive, and also if he can defeat the hosts of princes and kings that will inevitably try to catch him with his loot. So my plan for now is we will stick to our guns. We will do whatever we can to protect our belief. I kind of find it a little bit funny that it's called a faith. I would have assumed that it's more of a culture, but then it wouldn't have such a huge impact on the game. We have the Haitian. Oh, I misspoke. His culture is Haitian, but the overwhelming belief that our ruler has is voodoo. Yes, voodoo. The same with the other one. Actually, this guy is a Christian. I forgot about that. King Israel is a Christian, but okay, you're also Christian. Alright, so the faith situation, I mean, see, I don't really know that much about the game. Anyway, Jacques himself is basically alone against everyone, and while our liege is most likely going to protect us during our adventures if someone decides to attack us, he himself is in all but his role our enemy. So that's gonna make everything a little bit more complicated. But we have our island, we can gain money, we can invest in it, and we can really try to develop it. So as I was saying, my plan is to stick to the faith, keep it for as long as possible, keep it for our children, and try to slowly gain more territories under the rule of our liege. Unless something dramatically changes during the playthrough, we can attack other counts and dukes and take their territory as our own. So if that could happen at the end of Jacques' life and we could gain more territory, it would give our children the ability to become true pirate powerhouses, because we could then, again, that is understandable, but if you want to go raid, you need a big host or levy, and you can supplement them by creating units, but those are extremely expensive to keep. So if we could create a solid base of 2 or 3 counties under our rule, that would protect us from any kind of enemy advances. And then honestly, the best way we could do would be to try to carve our own territory somewhere far away from our liege lord and protect it and eventually gain independence. Whether our son would do that or our grandchildren would do that, I do not know, but it seems like the best plan. So we'll see. Anyway, let's start by reading Captain Jacques' description, then we're gonna go over the settings, and then we're gonna jump into the game and see what kind of a role we're gonna get for the starting setup. Now, I also want to mention that this is going to be a heavily edited playthrough. I'm not gonna do a full long play. I will record most of the interesting stuff, but there will be cuts similar to, for example, my Timberborn series, or how I used to originally play EU4, because while there is a lot happening in the game, I would rather give you the overall gist in updates that I will do from time to time when something happens, rather than sit for long periods of time. This also comes with the fact that I have started to play CK3 a little bit differently. I leave it at speed 1 for most of the time, and I just let it pass, and I just look at the world, what's happening, read about the characters. I guess as I age, I'm trying to find different things in games. Anyway, that's beside the point. So, Captain Jacques. Jacques is like a sparrow, completely unremarkable. He is not the smartest, the strongest, nor the best of the pirates, but he may be the luckiest, as he has risen recently as the ruler of the nest of killers, whores, and raiders that is the island of Tortuga. His domain is far from impressive, and his name is hardly known, but maybe, just maybe, one day that will change. So, we're 29, we start feudal, and when you look at the game rules, I changed very little. I actually went for it. There is a lot of mod specific settings. The only thing that I actually enabled is where is it? An extra threat of a plague. There are a couple of plagues that are gonna spawn, like Black Death, and what was the other one? Sorry, I just wanted to show you so that you know what the differences are. Impact of advantage, that's all the same. Orphanage genetics. Red Death is default. Purple Death is default, so these will spawn eventually. Purgus. So Purgus added. That's the only change that I did because the default is that it's disabled. So I've enabled it. Other than that, all of the settings are the same. I do not have any experience with the mod apart from a couple of years playing as Captain Jacques to see the what he's all about and what kind of strategies we could do with him. So this is really just the basic setup. I didn't change anything. People very often criticize the spawn of plagues, but I kind of like them. I know that it has overwhelming a negative rating on Steam, but I've often felt that there's way too many characters, you have way too many children, and the fact that the diseases can rampage through your families and the dynasties and basically quit them every couple of years is, in my opinion, very historical, because that's what happened. People had dozens of children, not all of them made it past childhood, not to mention teenage years. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, with that said, here we go with Captain Jacques. So here we are in the game. As you can see, it does truly cover the whole of South, North and Central America. Now I like to play like this to retain a little bit of the geographical normalcy that I'm used to. And over here is our tiny little island of Tortuga, where we have a castle, a single domain called Mare Rouge. I'm not sure about the pronunciation of the first one, but I'm pretty sure this is pronounced Rouge, where Captain or Duke Jacques of Latoti is living. Now, we were sort of lucky, sort of unlucky with the initial role. Jacques always starts being cowardly, vengeful, arrogant, and lustful. Not the bad characteristics to start with, though I would really like to get rid of the cowardly if it ever gave me the choice, but I don't think there is a way to get rid of your primary traits unless something really traumatic happens. He always starts as a brilliant strategist, which is really good, and he starts with the raider trait, which is all good and well. We have a very poor diplomacy skill, which is gonna probably haunt us when it comes to our liege. We'll look at him a little bit later. We have a really good marshal that makes me happy. It will make our life of raiding much easier. We even have a decent stewardship that is pretty neat, and intrigue, well, that could be a better stat here. We'll have to rely on our spy master to protect us from court plots and possible plot to imprison or kill us. Learning is abysmal, but hey, we're a pirate, what do we care? And we have a pretty decent prowess to start with. We have a base of 5. We're cowardly, vengeful, stalwart leader. We are a liege's marshal, and we have a homicide of Nassau. So, jack of all trades. Like, some things are good, some things are bad. We cannot really complain. We have a wife, a Duchess Regine of Latoti, who, interestingly, has a faithful blade and brilliant strategist traits as well. Unfortunately, she is club-footed, and she is honest, callous, and chaste, and relatively all around the stats, nothing really bad. Only the intrigue is really terrible. I was hoping that she would have a little bit better stats, especially the club-footed is bad because she gave the same trait to our son, who is club-footed. Now, but he's vengeful, gluttonous, and pensive, which is a really interesting combination. He has really high martial, not a bad intrigue, learning, and diplomacy and stewardships are really terrible, but he has a prowess of 7. Considering he's only 12, that is pretty decent. And that is with the -2 from Quip Footed. So we'll see how this is gonna go, what he's gonna become. I believe that our son should follow our footsteps in the martial realm, so we'll need to find someone who is going to give him some tutoring. Now, the rule that I go by with Crusader Kings 3 is always that I never take care of my children myself. This is for roleplay reasons, because it gives you way too much control and makes the game way too easy to build up super characters, and I do not want that. So I always find people to educate my children, whether it's my wife, my marshal, my spy master, depending on what kind of role I envision for them, they get the right person to do that for them. So hopefully we will find someone good for Ferdinand to be educated by. We also have a daughter, Solange, which is an interesting name. She has diplomacy of 2, martial of 2, intrigue of 2, learning 1, and prowess 2. But she's only 4, so having a prowess 2 in such a young age, not bad, you know. I can't complain about that. By the way, one thing that I also wanted to mention really in the beginning, if you want to have a character in the game, just let me know what kind of name you would prefer. I would be happy to give you a place as one of the children of me or my children, you know, my grandchildren basically. So you can become a part of the Moynil dynasty. So this is our main character. Now let's look at our military. It's not actually what I wanted to open. I wanted to look at the council, but you know, why not? We have 170 men in the levies, and we have 2 unstationed men-at-arms units. One is pikemen, which is not a bad unit, to be quite honest, and we have armored footmen here as well. It's pretty much, you know, all around the usual men-at-arms, but we have macheteros here, which is a special, I guess, pirate band. Excelling in ambushes and hit-and-run maneuvers, the macheteros leverage their intimate knowledge of the land to outmaneuver and outwit conventional adversaries. Their expertise with the machete, a ubiquitous tool in the Caribbean, enables them to clear paths, construct something. So the macheteros actually comes from the machete. Alright. They have a pretty high full maintenance. Unraised maintenance is pretty normal, considering the levies have 10-10 and they are 11 and 15. You know, they're not very strong, but they have certain advantages. They help in siege, which is something really interesting that nobody else does. So I like that. They also have a screening value, and they have a pursuit. So they're basically something like a light horseman, even when you think about it. They're a little bit cheaper though. Actually, are they? Raise maintenance 0.35, and you guys got 0.7. Yeah, they're cheaper. They're cheaper than cavalry, but I think we're gonna try to get them because they're of the skirmisher type, and that is something that we will work with. Our primary goal is going to be to get our total soldiers as high as possible so that we can raid some of these nearby provinces, because you can see, like, this city is actually okay, but there are many castles which will be very rich, and they have a garrison of like 516 people, so those will be unavailable for us, and they have the highest loot of them all. Okay, not you. The city is a little bit better, but there are certain... well, I don't think we're gonna ever raid Cuba, but if we ever get around to that, it would probably be decent to have a strong enough army, at least a couple of thousand, if we ever get that far. So anyway, strengthening the amount of total soldiers so that we can actually raid everything is going to be the primary goal, and we're going to be working intimately with champions and knights. Unfortunately, this is where we really rolled poorly in the beginning. We do have the availability of 5 knights, but we have only 4, and they are awful. All of them are awful. So that is really bad. Council is also pretty bad. I mean, it's a mixed bag. We have a really good spy master, chancellor, and court chaplain, but we have an absolutely abysmal steward and marshal. So that will need to be taken care of as fast as possible. And when it comes to the buildings and, you know, our own domain, we are starting with just mud brick towers, which is the basic fort that you can get. As you can see, we have only one domain and one holding. There is no other possibility. So this is why I was talking about potentially invading the nearby land, because these guys cannot raid us. But if we ever have the ability to take over this territory, we would have our primary holding on Tortuga, and we could develop this to provide us as much gold as we need, because money is going to be an object for us. We'll basically balance on well, as close to no income as possible, so that we can put everything on the levies and we are going to make money raiding. Alright, enough talking, let's do some actual steps. So, Duke Jacques, we are a very good martial oriented person. We started with the gallant way. I might have preferred the overseer due to the fact that it helps with control and forts and stuff like that, but gallant is, I mean, the strategist is great if you are after direct conquest. The overseer is sort of a middle ground, and gallant is about fighting yourself. It starts with giving you a prowess bonus, which we will use in combat. It helps with some, you know, marriage prospects, opinions, and stuff like that, which is also going to be very useful for us. And I like this path. Chivalric dominance is gonna increase effectiveness of our knights heavily. Again, we will very often meet the defenders on the field of battle. I'm gonna try to avoid it when possible, but if we do, we will always be outnumbered. That's what I expect. So having good and very strong knights is going to be our priority. Never back down actually gives you extra advantage, lowers fatal casualties, which is also good, and the household guard gives you extra 4 knights. So right now we are already looking at potentially, what was it, 9 knights? Yeah, we have 5 from, I think it's actually coming from your martial skill, isn't it? Yes, number of knights. And because we are gonna choose a lifestyle path, this is gonna only go even higher. So potentially up to 10 knights can accompany us on our adventures, which is a massive amount. We'll see. And then the gallant gives you martial and extra prowess and prestige and opinion. So, you know, probably the best choice for us. Again, overseer is really good because it would give us martial and control growth and some plague resistance, but we're gonna go for that one later. So the question is, what do we go with now? Chivalry focus would be pretty cool because of the prowess and everything, but I think we're gonna go with martial because we want to have as many knights as possible. And you give us advantage though. But this would be better because we're gonna get higher levy, more knights possibly, and it's gonna make sure that we become and retain our position as Legis Marshal. That he's not gonna replace us with anyone. So let's start with strategic focus. Alright, so it's gonna give us what, 38 per month. Alright, we're gonna try to lean heavily into making him as educated as possible. Yes, we get an extra knight out of that as well. So we will get to that 10. Now, we need to look at the council, because this is really bad. First of all, Marshal, who, oh god, the best is 8. You're the steward, alright, so at least that makes sense. And you are 0, so who? Thomas, my champion. So we would fire Robinson, who is also my champion. He's gonna be really mad that we will fire him, but we just have to. There's no way I can have someone so bad. And the question is, do we want to collect more taxes or do we want to work on development? I think in the beginning we are gonna... Actually, no, let's collect a little bit more taxes. We're gonna start with that. And we're gonna do development a little bit later. The bonuses you get from development are fairly timid I think our liege should have pretty decent development to start with. Yeah, 17. And the effect is 8.5% of levies and 8% taxes, which is nice, but you know, 8% of nothing is still nothing. So we're gonna focus a little bit more on direct taxes, which are gonna help us with that. So we still have 374 troops. There's nobody better that we can do here. Alright. Well, one thing that I can do with you. Garrison size and levy reinforcement rate. You're not helping with anything. So you give a start to train commanders. His chance is extremely low, so we'll still need to replace him soon. What I like to do is we are going to go and we're gonna invite champions. We're probably not gonna recruit any, especially not in the beginning. But if we can find someone with a decent enough martial, meaning 15, 16 or higher, we are going to invest in him, get him as our champion, and put him in the martial position, because that is going to allow us to actually have this, what is it called, train commanders on, and he's gonna continuously bring new people, promote them, and he's gonna train the existing knights or knights leaders, whatever you want to call them. I find that, yeah, champions is probably a good term even for the pirate setup. So yes, we're gonna go ahead. We are going to invite champions. It's 150 prestige. It's a pretty decent cost. And we are going to immediately petition the Wa, which is our ruler, and we're gonna go to his Vassal court to deliver our petition. Or we could visit an orphanage. What does that? We gain faith, and we can adopt up to 3 children. That's an interesting one. I had no idea we could do that one. No, I want to pay homage. I was thinking that that's not the right one. Petition the Va is when we want something from him. Pay homage is when we just go and we make him happy. Demonstrate submission. Yes, we're just gonna go and demonstrate submission to him. That's gonna slightly increase the relation we have with him. He really does not like us. Unfortunately, that's what we're gonna have to deal with the whole time. Most of this is coming from, yeah, he's zealous and he doesn't like our religion, so that's minus 55 just from those two. And we're arrogant as well. Or he's arrogant. No, we are arrogant. So all of this comes just from him being mad at us. Alright, now the question is, we need to station one of you. So you would gain 6.6 and 7.2, and you would gain 12.8 and 8.0. Okay, so we're gonna station you here, which is gonna make you much stronger. Full maintenance 1.2, full maintenance 0.9. Yeah, but these are kind of strong. When it comes to the buildings here, there is a question of utility. Now, despite the fact that I said that we're not gonna go for money, we need to think about this, and that leads me to the fact that we would probably go for skirmishing buildings. So the one that I like, from the descriptions anyway, is the hunting grounds. They start by giving a little bit of money, and they give you levies, and as you're gonna go higher and higher, they significantly increase the tax and the levies and lower the enemy's rate time. I don't think this one is ever gonna come into any usage, but it helps us with the advantage in case we are attacked. So I like this one. I like to start with that one. It is very similar to forestry, by the way, which gives you a little bit more money supply limit, but it doesn't give you any levies. So we want buildings that are going to increase our levies. So hunting grounds are good for that. I like the military camps, which I usually build at the end, because they significantly increase the amount of levies and they give you a huge bonus to archer and skirmishers. Now, we do not have any macheteros right now, but I plan to get them and develop them, like increase their size eventually. So this is going to be very useful for them because they're going to get massive bonuses. Like, even in the beginning, they get 20 extra %, which would be really, really good for them. Now, that's the military camps. Or was it outposts? No, we want... Well, that's the question, because we have 3 slots, and I would like to get a trade port eventually. Because while trade port doesn't really give you anything, it gives you money and a levy size. The 16% is actually pretty good. So the question is, do we want outposts? Or do we want military camps? Because military camps give you more levies, but they don't give you any income. While outposts actually give you income and bonus. And they give the advantage. Well, outpost and hunting grounds would be pretty good. So either it's outpost, hunting grounds, and trade port, or hunting grounds, military camps, and trade port. Well, I'll make a decision on that a little bit later. And when it comes to the duchy building, I actually have no idea what we're gonna go with. I might like the military academies because of the knights and effectiveness. That's actually pretty good. You know, that would be really nice. We could go with the archery grounds, which, you know, help the units that we would station, but again, they just give a bonus, not much else. And the last one that I like to consider is the Royal Reserve, because of the money. You know, that one doesn't give much, but it helps with opinion and gives money, you know, and we have an increased chance when it comes to hunt. So that could be good as well. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Anyway, we have set up pretty much everything here. We're not employing a personal physician. I don't think we have anyone who would be good. I usually default in the beginning, because we don't really have that much money, to getting a personal physician and the master of the horse. But we actually do have someone who would be pretty good for the role. It would give us extra effectiveness and number of knights, but I'm really looking for someone who is really, really good. In that regard, she is not good enough. And I mean, if we had full amount of knights, then I might consider it, because it just helps and is worth the money. But for now, it just isn't. Bodyguards I don't think we'll need. The tutor is good for your children. Actually, we have one that would be really good. Oh god, you're really poor. Intrigue. That salary is very high. Well, never mind. Let's just keep it as it is. We have our men-at-arms. We don't have any concubines, so let's see who we can take. I am sorry to say that, but sometimes I'm having a hard time recognizing who is male and who is female, so I have to filter it. Okay, Edith is a chancellor. We'll take her as a concubine, and Jesula is my spy master, so we definitely want to take her as a concubine. And while that might not be as important, I actually do want to start a scheme on her and sway her. We need a dedicated spy master, and she is high enough that we might keep her in that role for a while. So we'll try to increase her opinion, and we're gonna, you know, go around and increase the opinion of other people, but everybody else here might be replaced. Marshall will be replaced for sure, and the other guys are relatively okay, but we might change it. Okay, we need a guardian for our son. Ironically, our duchess would be the best to take care of him. Alright, so let's make her the guardian of our ward. And we can create an accolade. And something I really... Actually, what about you? 16. Your martial is really good, but you are... contender. Brave, vengeful, and wrathful. Because recruiting you, you have a really high prowess, and you have a really good martial. So that would be a really good. It would double our martial, but recruiting you to the court would probably be 30. Yeah, I don't think we can actually afford it right now. Well, you know what? We're going on an adventure right now, so it's not, you know, a choice that we have to make immediately. We can just go visit our Wa, see what we can do in that regard, and once we are done with that, we can make a decision. All right, so let us go on a trip. A fresh start. I can't wait. I'm gonna have a problem with stress because we are cowardly. So everything that we want to do is basically gonna immediately cost us, unfortunately, some stress. Again, I wish I could get rid of that one, but you know, you can only do as much. The raider trait is really good. It will eventually give us even more raider speed, and I think, and it gives you advantage and a little bit of martial. Yeah, so it never gives you prowess, but the raid speed going up is pretty good. White Squall, turn to port. The coxswain's horrifying yell does not suit the calm weather, but my ears are filled with an increasingly louder roar of the wind. In less than a heartbeat, the moist white mist that engulfs the whole ship, louder than the wind, the mainmast cracks and falls overboard. And as sudden as it came, the squall moves on. Our boat lazily rocks on the calm sea, dragging the torn sail and broken oars along. We need to somehow raise a makeshift sail. So we can either get delayed, 85% chance, but we're not in a hurry, and we use stress, or fear not, we have more sails. Due to my entourage maritime expertise, we are prepared for this, or somebody will find us. Passing ship offers assistance. We lose stress. No, fear not. Okay, so that actually removed all the stress that we had. Alright, first guy to come around. Terrible, but a decent prowess. I consider anything above 12 pretty good. Liege, okay, so it already started. He started to convert our province, and we passed a law, limited crown of 40. Well, what can we do? So let's just end this episode once we're done with the visit, and the next one I'm gonna come with an update on what's the situation. Servants usher me into Wa Esau's second great hall in Potoprenz, where he sits on the throne waiting to hear my pledge. I kneel at the feet of my lord and pledge the many oaths of homage as the scribes record the event. With that, the ceremony is complete. I have nothing to offer my Wa except my promise to faithfully serve as a vassal of the Vyom. Esau bids me to arise and confirms his satisfaction along with my right to the lands I rule in his stead. Alright, so we gained a little bit of renown, we gained a little bit of opinion, we gained prestige, and we can travel back home. So, that is decent. What more could we have wanted? Is the Chancellor working on... she's giving us prestige. Fellow vassal. Domestic affairs. Direct vassal, parochial vassal, tyranny laws. Shortened truce. I would really like it if she improved the opinion of my liege. You help with piety. You help with the taxes. And you're training commanders. Alright, well, what can we do? What can we do? Apart from what we're already doing, huh? So sail back home, little boat that could. And we're gonna see what can be done. So far, Meshach still seems to be the best choice for us. It's really not bad. Okay, so we managed to get back. We lost a little bit of stress. And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm gonna end this episode by raising my host as raiders. Now let's have a look-see at what we can do here. So, there is a bunch of juicy places we could go. The captaincy of the East Case would give us 10 gold, and we have enough to pillage that. This is gonna be a little bit harder because there might be an army present, but both of these temples and cities are within our reach, and we are just shy of the garrison over there. We would need a little bit more, and there's another castle over here that we cannot overcome, but there is a city here. Alright, so I think that the plan for next episode is basically I'm going to go and ponder what I can from these nearby territories. You have a capacity of 37, so I can maybe get these 3 first, and if that works, and if we manage to get that uninterrupted and uncaught back home, I'm gonna recruit our first person to the court, which is going to be I forgot. You can actually see them best here. Meshach is going to... Actually, I'm thinking whether he would make our life so much easier if he was with us. But he's not gonna... Well... not gonna change anything. Nah, let's give him time. More people can come while we are on our first raid, and we're not in that much of a hurry. Alright, so thank you very much for joining me for this first episode. I'll be back in episode number 2 with a result of our glorious pillage of the Caribbean. So, see you then.